Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another episode of the Destroyer Pilot's Manifesto, the series that aims to give the min-maxers on Reddit a collective hernia by pointing out that not only can you fly suboptimal ships, it can actually be more fun and worth your while to do so. In today's video we're going to be looking at the Catalyst 2 Interdictor. Now this ship was sent to me by a good friend and my resident destroyer builder, Lord Rahman, who sent it to me with the message that basically, of all the destroyers that he builds and sells, the Catalysts seem to be the least popular, which he personally couldn't understand as they're his personal favourite. And I sat there and I took a look at this and I said to myself, you know what actually? Okay, I'm always going to prefer the Thrasher line of destroyers because that's me. I love Thrashers so much that I got my wife to design me a t-shirt with one on, available on our Redbubble merchandise store. Go check out the link in the description. But in fairness, the Catalyst Interdictors actually do come in a fairly close second. The damage output on these things is absolutely monstrous, and yes, they do have some notable weaknesses, but in fairness, it looks pretty cool, and if you can find a way to get around those weaknesses, you can have a lot of fun with them, even if Reddit tells you otherwise. So today's video is going to be my mission basically, just to prove Reddit wrong and showcase that actually the Catalyst 2 Interdictor is a really cool ship. You can have a lot of fun with this, you can do high tier content, you can clear that high tier content the same kind of speed that you could clear it with something like a cruiser, and it costs less, the fittings cost less, the skills cost less, you know? There's reasons to do this, you know? There is genuinely reasons to fly destroyers. They're not perfect right now, definitely they need buffs, but you can still fly them, you can still have fun, and if like me you're a frigate pilot, you probably already have a ton of skills ready for destroyers that otherwise you'd have to completely reskill from the ground up into cruisers. Yeah, all those small railgun skills that I use for flying my, for flying my Daredevil, they work here too. Anyway, all that said and done then, if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting a like on it, sub to the channel for all things Eve Echoes, ding the notification bell to never miss an upload, and let me know in the comment section down below what ships, what topics you want to see me cover in future content. Yes, the Moa 2 Guardian video is still on the way. If you do want to be extra awesome and help support this channel, you can do so by joining us on Patreon, or indeed coming and checking out that aforementioned Redbubble merchandise store. Anyway folks, all that said and done then, let's jump right into talking about the Gallente Catalyst 2 Interdictor. As a Catalyst hull, the Catalyst 2 Interdictor is of course found in the Gallente Federation ship tree, and being a second tier Interdictor, you'll find it all the way up at the Destroyer branch at Tech Level 9, so here it is right here. Now, I've said before that the Catalyst is a bit of an unusual ship visually. Certainly, it's a love it or hate it Marmite ship really, I think. The fact that it's so asymmetrical with this wing kind of coming out to one side, the main propulsion unit is just off-center there, it just looks really asymmetrical and like it wouldn't fly in Atmo. But then again, it's in space, it doesn't need to be in Atmo. I actually really like the colour scheme here on the Catalyst 2 Interdictor as well, this sort of weird bluish colour in with that grey, I don't know, I really like that. It's a really handsome looking ship. Of course, it does get a Halorange skin from the Crimson Harvest Halloween event from 2019, but it does, 2020, sorry, goodness gracious me, but it does make things ridiculously vibrant, and I'll be honest, I actually just kind of prefer the natural skin on this one. I am hoping eventually it will get one of the silver skins, as most of the other Gallente ships do, but for now, that's still a pretty cool looking ship. Now, in regards to its attributes and fittings, it is, as I said, a Tier 2 Interdictor destroyer, which means it is based, of course, on the gunboat or the mainline turret hulls. So we're looking here at 4 high slots, which are going to be fitted, of course, with railguns, because this is a Gallente gunboat destroyer. We've got 4 mid slots, which is a really, really nice amount of mids, gives us a lot of versatility, and, well, you've seen me talk about, like, the Talwar Assault and the Algos Assault recently, how the lack of mid slots is a problem. Here, obviously, on the Catalyst 2 Interdictor, mid-slots are not a problem, you've got plenty of them. You do only have 3 low slots though, which of course means you don't have much in the way of tank or low slot versatility. You're going to have to be very single-minded in what you want to do with just 3 low slots, but you can get away with that. I'd love to see that increase to 4 low slots. That would make these things absolutely astonishing. Obviously the 5th high slot as well. Yes, I'm still going on about it. Until NetEase changes it, I'm going to be shouting that in every destroyer video I do. be warned. We then, of course, have 3 combat rigs and 3 engineering rigs, which again give you that little bit of option and versatility on how you're going to adapt this ship to fit your personal playstyle. Now, it does have a fairly sizable cargo hold, which is quite nice, 900 cubic meters. It's a Tech 2 Interdictor. I think they all have that same cargo hold. It's not like the Atron Interceptor that suddenly has this massive cargo hold compared to the others. We've got a solid power grid. 74 megawatts is more than enough for what we need. With a somewhat decent capacitor, 661 gigajoules, it's survivable. We can fit this in such a way that we can live with that. Again, it feels a little bit low. It feels like we've got a destroyer here that's running a frigate capacitor bank, and that, it can cause problems, but we can fit around it. Defensively, we are somewhat tanky for a destroyer here. We've got a good amount of structure, good amount of armor. The shield is a little bit lacking, but not by too much. Again, you've kind of got, if you compare this to something like the Coercer 2 Interdictor, yeah, that's got more armor. The Cormorant Interdictor's got more shield, but here you've got a good amount of structure and still a good amount of shield and armor, which gives you a lot of kind of leeway of how you want to do things. We have a signature radius here of 47.6 meters. It's not huge, it's not tiny, it's, you know, it's fairly small. It's not really speed tank small, but it is mitigate some of the incoming damage small. And that is tied in with a flight velocity that again is a little bit lower than I'd like. 304 meters per second does mean this is often outrun by cruisers, let alone frigates. Now again, this is a conversation that's raging with destroyers right now. If destroyers are supposed to be frigate killers, then surely they need to be fast enough to catch the frigates. Well, no, not really. You're kind of misunderstanding how warfare works there. We're not talking about something that goes off and hunts frigates, per se. We're talking about something that if a frigate encounters, it's going to give it a rough time. So the fact that it's slower than a frigate isn't necessarily a problem, especially if the frigate has to come within range of its guns anyway. So for example, a frigate tries to take you on, or if you're in a fleet and the frigates are trying to get to your cruisers, battle cruisers and battleships, having a destroyer parked nearby means that those frigates suddenly have to run into the guns of something quite powerful. Obviously, if you're going for solo PvP and trying to hunt frigates, yes, you might want a bit extra speed than this, but I don't think that destroyers should ever be as fast as frigates. They should be slightly slower than them. The trouble is, they're not slightly slower, they're a lot slower. And when a destroyer can't keep pace with a cruiser, and I'm talking not just Minmatar cruisers, this thing can't keep pace with a Hurricane. But a Hurricane is a fast battle cruiser. So we're not comparing like the Stabber Fleet issue. I'm talking about things here like, for example, a Mala or a Moa. This struggles to keep pace with those. That, to me, is a problem. Anyway, our mass as well, with our inertia modifier, are both fairly sizable. We're looking at 1.55 million kilograms, with an inertia modifier of 2.1 times, which does make us that little bit more clunky than, again, perhaps I would like. I'd love to see that go down to like 1.9 or 1.8, but again, that's just me. We've got a ship that obviously is using railguns. It's going to be a Galente ship, so it's going to be aiming towards snub-nosed railguns. It just, if you struggle to hold an orbit, then you kind of have a problem going on, and I think that agility is something that needs to be considered on ships that are designed for using snub-nosed railguns. Now, why do I say it's designed for snub-nosed railguns? Well, we'll have a look at the rolls, and we'll discuss that as we go. Now, being a catalyst hull, we have the roll bonus of a 25% increase to small railgun optimal range. Remember, all the gunboats get a 25% increase to the small turret of that particular nation. Here being Galente, that is 25% small railgun. Obviously, that benefits both the snub-nosed or rifled railguns. We then have the ability to fit interdiction sphere launchers, and indeed advanced propulsion jamming means that those interdiction sphere launchers actually activate more frequently, so you can drop more bubbles in a faster period of time with a Catalyst 2 Interdictor, which is quite a nice little trait to have actually. It means that if you are in a gate camp, you can drop several bubbles quite quickly. If you're out there in fleet combat, it means you can just drop them, and if you misplace one or place one where you need it, but you then discover you need another one, it's less of a wait until you get the second one. Going back to the snub-nosed things though, sorry, nearly choked on myself there. Going back to the snub-nosed discussion though, if we look at Advanced Destroyer Command here, you'll see we get a 10% increase to small railgun damage. That's a 50% increase across the board, meaning that those 4 turrets do act as if they were 8, do act as if they're 6. My maths fell apart there. But then we get the small railgun accuracy fall-off. Now the fact that we're getting optimal range and accuracy fall-off here, to me does insinuate that we are looking at snub-nosed railguns here. Of course, you can can go for the rifled railguns, you will still get benefits to those. I just find that if you've got a ship that's going to boost both ranges, it does really help the snubs out. Snubs, of course, their biggest downside is that they are ridiculously short range, so if you've got something that's increasing both the optimal range and the accuracy fall off, that does really benefit snub-nosed railguns. So that's what we're going to fit this with. Before we get too deep into the actual nitty-gritty of the fitting, I think it's worthwhile just taking a brief look at the skills that I have trained in order to actually pull the numbers in the fit that I have here. So first of all, under cruising technology, I'm sitting at Destroyer Command full, Advanced Destroyer Command full, and the first 2 levels of Expert Destroyer Command. Obviously only Advanced Destroyer Command is actually required, since it's the only one that's named on the hull there, but Expert Destroyer Command going into it just gives you that little bit extra flight velocity and the little bit extra inertia modifier reduction there. It just means you can move faster and get that little bit more agility going around things. For navigation, I do have Afterburner and Micro Warp Drive, both skilled to 553, which obviously helps with propulsion. It means I'm getting more out of those Afterburners and Micro Warp Drives, and they're costing me less capacitor in order to do so. I am mainly trained here in Shield Operation, as you can see. Shield Operation, Advanced Shield Operation, and Shield Hardening, along with a whole load in Remote Shield Operation, which I've recently come to realise affects group shield boosters, which is why I've now been powering through and training this one up. Because group shield boosters are an amazing module if, like me, you're a small ship pilot. That means, piloting small ships, not that I'm a ship pilot who happens to be rather short. No, we're talking about the size of the ship. Ultimately, you'll see here that is giving a nice big extra amount to the boost from those shields. They tend to be fairly low, long activation times, so getting a big boost out of them is pretty cool. I am slightly worried looking at these though. You get group shield booster power grid need here, and this does come across the board onto all of these. Now currently the power grid for group shield boosters is like, what, 1 megawatt? So I'm thinking perhaps someone goofed and they're not supposed to be 1 megawatt even for the large ones. I imagine there might be a nerf coming soon, which means that we're going to have the medium and the large group shield boosters take up a lot more power grid. Now on a lot of frigates and destroyers that won't necessarily matter, but on some that is going to cause us a problem. Anyway, you'll notice I don't have any armor skills anymore. I trained out of these because armor tanking is utterly useless. I've done an entire video on this, but before anyone argues, oh, but it doesn't matter with small shield boosters and small armor repairers. Yeah, it does, because the small shield boosters still cycle faster, which gives you more hit points per second, more heal per second, and if your heal per second is outpacing their DPS, the HPS outpaces DPS, you survive longer. On top of that, I put an adaptive invulnerability field on, and oh, would you look at that, my resistances are higher than if they were armor tanking. I get higher heals per second, and I get better natural resistance across the board. Yeah, shield tanking is just much better. That's before we even include logistics into that, where the armor tanking logistics and armor guardians are just utterly terrible, whereas the shield tanking guardians and shield tanking logistics ships are absolutely amazing. So yeah, shield tank. Screw armor tanking, we're going with shield tanking. I have Destroyer Defense Upgrade as well at 5.4, just to give myself some extra hit points here. Frigate Engineering is all the way up, and yes, that does matter, because under Expert Frigate Engineering, you'll see here that we have a small turret power grid need reduction of 10%. That is a reduction to the power grid of small turrets, no matter what ship you're fitting them to. So when I'm fitting small railguns to a destroyer, they use up 10% less power grid than they normally would. And of course, I'm training up Expert Destroyer Engineering as we speak as well, to get that to 5.55 too. As far as I'm concerned, the frigate engineering and destroyer engineering skills, because of that crossover, are well worth training up early. I have decent electronic warfare skills there. Propulsion jamming I've kept fairly low because I don't really use it for gate camping all that much, and it doesn't really affect the ship's capabilities other than its ability to drop those interdiction spheres. Target management's at 5 with 1, fleet support doesn't exist yet, and of course under railguns, we're looking at 5.53 on small railgun ops and 5.4 on advanced small railgun upgrade. Not gone into expert yet on small railgun upgrade. This is a weapon system that I should probably train a bit more, but I'm kind of working on drones and that for other things at the moment. Spoiler alert to upcoming videos. But that gives you an idea of the kind of skills that I'm using here personally. Of course, the most important ones to go for are the skills that directly affect the ship. So that is, of course, Destroyer Command. You want to get Advanced Destroyer Command up to 5 as quickly as possible. The propulsion jamming doesn't necessarily matter unless, of course, you're intending to use the Catalyst Interdictor as an actual interdictor. Interdictor, if like in this video you're just going to use it for solo PvE or PvP without so much really use of the Interdiction Sphere Launcher, it's not a train smash if you don't train that skill up. Obviously, go for your small railgun skills as well. So what kind of stuff are we looking to cram into the fittings and power grid on this Catalyst 2 Interdictor in order to get the most out of it? Well, for solo PvE, or indeed for hunting in PvP, joining in roams, that kind of thing, this is the fit that I've been using, and this is dirt cheap. Most of these modules are actually pretty low meta level. I'm running basic rigs here, prototypes and tech 1s. In fact, the only thing that is actually fairly high on the meta level are the Corelli C-type small snub-nosed railguns. Now the reason I've gone for these is because they're still dirt cheap on the market. I know that this is going to cause the Benzie effect to come into play, but ultimately, check out the cost of Corelli C-type small snub-nosed railguns on the market. Now compare that to Storyline medium snub-nosed railguns, and you'll see why I like to fly destroyers, because even when you're using Dead Space loot, it can be ridiculously cheap. Now these things are pretty powerful. We're looking at 141 thermal damage, 231 kinetic damage, with a ridiculously fast activation time of 3.22 seconds. That gives us a monstrous DPS of 116 per turret. The downside, of course, is the optimal range and accuracy fall off, but with the skills I've got trained and the Catalyst's bonuses, we're looking at an optimal range of 2.61 kilometers and an accuracy fall off of 4.03. That means an orbit of 3 or 4 kilometers isn't a train smash in this. We get a decent amount of damage output from those snubs, even if we can't maintain the optimal range. This is one of the few ships that does actually have the effects required to make snub-nosed railguns good. You've got a decent optimal range, and then you've got enough bonuses to accuracy fall off that you're actually making that accuracy fall off fairly gentle, so being a little bit further than optimal range doesn't suddenly take you from 100% effective down to 75% in less than a kilometer. Now this, as I said, is a very cheap fitting. We've got 462.57 DPS out of those 4 turrets, thanks to the skills, plus a couple of magnetic field stabilizers. Yeah, I'm running a Mark 9 and a Mark 7. Why? Because ultimately, whether it's a Mark 9, a Mark 7, a Storyline, or even a Dead Space version, the damage bonus of 5% and the activation time adjustment are pretty much the same. It's only the whole when you activate the magnetic field stabilizer that the meta level really comes into effect. So even if you've only got a cheap one like I have, you can cram those in, and 462.57 DPS. Now imagine that you're putting Dead Space ones into here, if that's what you fancy. And again, we're looking at tier 1 rigs, so you can push this up considerably higher. In fact, the propulsion mod is one of the more high meta level modules I've got on this. I've gone for an afterburner so that we can speed tank a little bit, without taking off the top 25% of our capacitor, without the signature radius bloom that a micro warp drive costs. Stick with the small afterburner, and we go quite comfortably from there. In our mid slots, an interruptive warp scrambler, because these are about 1 million ISK each, they are dirt cheap at the moment, gives us a decent amount of warp jammer strength for PvP to stop our targets escaping, and of course in PvE it's going to switch off any micro warp drives, which then allows our Republic fleet Stasis Weberfire, only a meta level 6, to slow the target by an additional 60% almost. Now, obviously, you can just go with the Stasis Weberfire and it will slow most things down. You can hope then that that slows the micro warp drives down enough that the signature radius bloom also helps you hit them, but I like to have both. And the fact that, of course, the warp scrambler also affects for PvP with locking a target down, it's a nice thing to have. And the fact that it's only a short range of 13.13 kilometers doesn't matter when you're using snub-nosed railguns, and you're going to be in that range anyway. Finally, to round things off, I've gone for a Mark 9 and a Mark 7 large group shield booster. Again, I would have gone for 2 Mark 9s, but I just didn't have a second one lying around. I only had a Mark 7, and there's not that much difference, as you can see. 433 shield boost amount compared to 412. It's still every 20 seconds these activate, and if you remember watching my video on the Thrasher 2 Interdictor, you'll know that the best thing to do is to counter-cycle these. You have one active, as soon as you start taking damage, you activate the first one. Once it hits 50% active, so 10 seconds in, you activate the second one. That way you never get any long period without healing. It gives you a much better HPS overall, that sort of helps you survive that damage. Yes, I know theoretically if you have both of them acting at the same time, you're getting a big heal every 20 seconds rather than getting half of that every 10 seconds, so the actual HPS is exactly the same. But the idea here is that you never have a long period where damage is going to push through your shields and into armor. You are constantly healing up that little bit, and that should help you outpace any damage coming in. For the rigs, again, as I said, we've gone for just meta level 1 and indeed prototype rigs here. So I've gone for 2 railgun burst aerators because these are very useful on snub-nosed. We're firing faster, that increases our damage, and a railgun collision accelerator just to give a little bit of an extra whack there. You could go for some extra survivability, like, I don't know, one of the shield rigs that makes your shield bigger. That's always a nice one to have. Don't worry about things that make your shield boosters activate faster or use less capacitor. Obviously, the group shield boosters are unaffected by those. Yes, they're unaffected by the ones that make your shield boosters heal more. That doesn't affect group shield boosters as far as any test I have ever done, but I'm sure someone in the comment section is going to disagree with me. Show me evidence and I will gladly rescind this statement in a future video. Otherwise though, railgun burst aerators times 2 and a railgun collision accelerator just to give us extra DPS. You can just go for the prototypes here, keep things nice and cheap from your daily login rewards, see how you like the ship, and then if you do enjoy it, upgrade those to the level 1s or the level 2s or even the level 3s if you're that into the ship. Ultimately, I wouldn't recommend going above level 2 because, well, the price increase is just astronomical. I don't get why tier 3 rigs are so bloody expensive, and they give you, what, 1% extra DPS? Woohoo! Please, take all my money. Now for the engineering rigs, I've gone for an auxiliary thruster prototype and 2 polycarbon engine housing prototypes. Again, I said that we had that issue of this ship being slightly slower than I'd like it to be and slightly less agile than I'd like it to be. So a couple of rigs there just help fix that somewhat. Again, if you can take these out of the prototypes and into meta level 1 rigs, but for some reason auxiliary thrusters again are just ridiculously expensive. Even the tier 1 versions are sitting at like 15 million ISK when I filmed this video. That is too much for a Tech 1 rig. Stop it. Stop paying 15 million for Tech 1 rigs. It's not worth that much. Certainly it's not worth 250 million for a Tech 3 variant, but there we go. So, with this fitting, as I said, 462.57 DPS. Our defense is sitting at 6960, which is fairly solid for a destroyer. Our capacitor is comfortably stable. You can see there, we're getting very little capacity stability there. Nice 37.9%, 4.17 gigajoules per second. Happy with that. Under targeting, we've got a decent enough scan resolution, 804, low signature radius of 48, and under navigation, our maximum velocity is a fairly respectable 434.72. We are at least keeping pace with cruisers now, and we have a warp preparation time of 3.02. Now, I know that people say that 2 is the magic number here. It's not. 2 is what makes it theoretically impossible to be caught. 3.02 basically means you have to spot me, lock me, and actually hit your buttons all within the space of 1.02 seconds or thereabouts. This is plenty. I actually was doing a carby run recently in the Catalyst 2 Interdictor, and I had some great guys chasing after me, desperately trying to lock me down. We had a good chat in DMs after. It was a great little chase. They were in interceptors and couldn't catch me and lock me faster than I could warp away at a gate. So yeah, this is plenty, this is enough, and they are respectable PvPers, so big shout out to you guys, really well done. That was a fun chase, you had my heart pounding, and it genuinely, having lost 3 ships that day, I didn't want to lose a 4th. Anyway, that's all said and done then, let's actually take this out and showcase it in action, shall we? This is Tribal Banquet Hard, which is a Tech 9 Minmatar encounter. Now, I have a feeling this one is 5 million, 4.5, 5.5 million, somewhere around that mark ISK, and this takes me about 35 minutes to complete, which means if you were to be lucky enough to get numerous of these kind of encounters side by side, you can theoretically be making 10 million ISK an hour in a destroyer that is a lot cheaper to use than a cruiser. And yes, the cruisers that I have on my cruiser battlecruiser ult do clear it slightly faster in about, I think, 25 minutes, but is the 10 minutes really worth the extra cost of the cruiser? I don't know, that's up for you to decide. Anyway, you'll see that what I've done here is I've started taking some damage, so I've activated the group shield booster. I'm still taking a bit more damage than I'd like, so I'm going to activate the second one about halfway through the first one cycle, and you'll see that that tops me up nicely. We've taken out the first of the Gisty Hound 2s, the second one we're going to attack now. It's got a micro warp drive, sorry, it's got a scrambler on it, and it's got the Weber Fire, just in case it's got a micro warp drive. Those snubs are doing their work. Down goes that ship. You'll see that I'm still sitting quite comfortably here, right at the top of my capacitor, right at the top of my shield. In fact, I have deactivated one of those group shield boosters, because as you can see, I didn't stock up on fuel before doing this, so we are only sitting at 42 cycles worth of fuel. So I'd rather keep an eye on things here and see how we do. Now, I've gone actually here accidentally to the Gist Tempest, then changed my orbit trying to target the Thrasher, and I haven't quite noticed yet. There we go, there's the focus fire and trying to get in on that one to actually hit it and do the damage rather than onto that Gist Tempest, but there we go. I am taking a bit more damage because of that mistake, so I do take, I do have to cycle the second group shield booster on there. We're now down to 39 units worth of fuel. It still should be plenty. We've only got another wave and a half to get through, and I shouldn't be taking all that much damage. And there we are, the second boost there took us back up to 100%, I then dropped to 96%, and the first group shield booster is going to activate again now, and should take us all the way back up to 100. There we go, quite comfortable there. We're using fuel rather than capacitor. If you do find that you want to do some higher level content, you could actually swap out one of these magnetic field stabilizers for a small shield booster, or if you've got enough power grid, possibly even a medium. I don't think a medium fits, but I'll be honest, I didn't quite check. You can swap that out as a way of just making sure that you've got a little bit extra tank if you really feel you need it, but quite frankly, I'm comfortable here using the group shield boosters to just keep myself topped up. You can see I've barely dropped below sort of 80-70% at all in this entire wave, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be taking any more damage anytime soon. Those small snub-nosed railguns are doing their job. Even at 4 kilometers, you can see I'm hitting for there 1,206 damage. Only 370 there, but who knows? Yeah, moving on to the Tornado, we're going to move in on that one. Obviously, I'm out of range at the moment, so I am going to be shooting and just missing constantly. I'm also flying in at a very oblique angle, which means, of course, I take a lot more damage because my angular velocity is absolutely atrocious. Group shield booster, though, is keeping it up. Now, it's worth pointing out as well, group shield boosters, one of the things that a lot of people don't consider about using these when they're tanking with them in mid-slots, is that if you've got friends with you and you're doing content together, like you're doing, say, Dead Spaces, or you're doing just, Inquisitors or whatever, as a group, or if you're in Fleet PvP, in a roam or something, every time I activate that group shield booster, it's also going to be healing up all of my friends near me as well, and when they activate theirs, it's going to heal me up. So if you've got, say, 3 of these destroyers all working together, fitted with these large group shield boosters, we're also healing each other up, which is just fantastic. It's a really good way of keeping each other alive for minimal costs. Now, we're getting now through toward the end here of Wave 2. You can see I'm now down to 34 fuel units, so I have switched things off here. 34 cycles worth of the large shield booster left. So we're just going to sit here comfortably now, blitz through this Tornado, and you see I'm taking no damage at all from this. Once this is down, we'll move on to the Tempest, and we'll take on that third wave. So I'm just sitting here at distance, watching the Tempest drift languidly in space, whilst our Catalyst 2 Interdictor there is doing a nice little orbit at 4 kilometers around that Gistum Tornado 2. So it's taking no damage at all, and I'm hitting quite hard back, I feel. I'm about to have access to my my Mark 9 magnetic field stabilizer if I really feel the need to punch this one a little bit harder, just to get it down quickly. But quite frankly, I think I'd rather just punch this one down, and then once we get through... No, it's taking too long, let's activate that. Once we get through the hull, we'll move on, of course, to the Gist Tempest. Now, that's really it. I'm doing tier 9 content here in a destroyer, and I'm making good time, and the fit, as you've seen, is dirt cheap. If I were doing anomalies and someone jumped in, if it's a frigate, I'm going to be able to take them out quite comfortably because my DPS is monstrous. If they do try to engage, I'm just going to absolutely obliterate them and make them rue the day that they tried to take me on in a destroyer. It's one of those things like, yeah, okay, you can sit there and say, oh yeah, but my cruiser can do that. Your cruiser costs twice as much as this ship. Your battle cruiser costs 3 times as much as this ship. Your battleship cost like 5 times as much as this. And that's before we include how much you spent on skills, both in terms of ISK and in terms of skill points. I do challenge you all go into the skill tree and actually have a look at the difference in the amount of skill points required to train, say, small laser operation from 0 to 5, and compare that to medium laser operation 0 to 5, and then compare that to large laser operation. Then have a look at the upgrades, because, spoiler alert, advanced small laser operation is the same amount as I think medium laser operation. I'm getting confused there. It's something to do with like the upgrade is the same as, like, the upgrade of the one below is the same as the operation of the one above, so I think small laser upgrade uses the same skill points as medium laser operation, something like that. I should have probably made notes on that before talking about this in a video, but it's there. Those skills cost a lot more ISK to open up, they take a lot more skill points to earn, and the ships then cost more, and the fittings cost more. Here in this destroyer, I'm taking, what, 5-10 minutes longer than my cruisers do on my cruiser alt, and it costs me almost nothing in comparison. The actual profit that I'm making here is significantly higher, and the losses, if I lose the ship, don't impact me at all. Like, if I lose this ship, the amount it costs to replace is nothing. If I lose even my Stabber Fleet issue, it cost a lot more than this ship did. My Stabber Fleet issue is about 100 million. This, I think, set me back 60 million. So there's a 40 million difference there. Anyway, folks, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this ship in the comments section down below. I'm really actually enjoying the Catalyst line. I've obviously had a lot of fun with the Tier 3 and the Navy issue last week. Here I am with the Interdictor 2 this week, just having an absolute blast. But let me know what your favourite destroyer line is. If you are out there flying Catalysts, let me know what your crowning achievement is, why it is that you love this ship and what you're doing with it. Just let me know all that and more in the comment section below. I do love chatting with you guys, as long as the conversation stays civil. I love hearing your fits and your ideas and what's going on. It's a good time to be had by all. Come join our Discord as well, there's plenty more going on there, people talking about the game, showcasing their fits, and just having a good time with EVE Echoes. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching this one right the way to the end. Hopefully there'll be a giveaway in tomorrow's video, or if there's not already been one this week, I don't know which order I'm putting this week's videos out in yet. But thanks for watching right the way to the end, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden. And apologies if you can hear my cats fighting and hitting at each other in the background here.